My name is Ursula Read and I'm an anthropologist and I'm based at the University of Warwick in the UK. So I came with my colleague Erminia Colucci and Kpobi from Ghana, and our colleague Diana Setiawiti, who's in Indonesia. And we've made a film about how traditional and faith-based healers are working together with mental health workers in those two countries, in Ghana and in Indonesia. So I've done a lot of research in Ghana, looking particularly at the emergence of psychiatry in the country and in particular rights-based approaches to mental health. I've concentrated very much on experiences of mental illness at the level of the community, so within families, and how they make sense of what has happened and where they go for treatment or for healing. So I started by exploring the use of traditional and faith-based healers within a particular community. And that kind of led to us making this film to explore these new forms of collaboration that had emerged in recent years. I think with transcultural psychiatry, I mean, when you think back to the sort of beginnings of the discipline, and it was around looking at are mental illnesses universal? You know, so can we go to countries in the developing world, as were the colonies, as they were, and can we find the same illnesses there? I think now those questions, what's interesting to me is that in a way those questions are now kind of bracketed out often, and it's kind of with the movement towards a globalised mental health. It's as if that question has been resolved, and now it's more about what kind of treatments can we offer and how can we offer them in the most effective way. So things like integrating mental health into primary care, those kind of those sort of changes in mental health care delivery, deinstitutionalization, and those kind of things. So I think Erminia was saying this earlier, in a way it's like going back to look at some of those fundamental questions about what really is mental illness and how do people make sense of it within particular contexts. And often, as we found, you know, in my own work, they make sense of it within the framework of spiritual beliefs or spiritual practices or interpersonal relationships and how they may lead, and particularly these days we see growing inequality. So in Ghana you're getting really huge difficulties in terms of the economy, and so the stresses and strains of being able to live day to day, people moving to the cities looking for work, these kind of stresses are coming up more and more, and so you're seeing much more kind of what you might call the social determinants of mental health. And I think putting a cultural lens on that as well, and thinking about how people bring together all these different influences to make sense of mental health and mental illness, I think that's the big shift now, and the important questions for us in the field. I mean, I don't always think that, I work in transcultural psychiatry. I kind of sometimes think I study transcultural psychiatry, right? So I looked at how it emerges in Ghana. But I think for me, working in mental health I was an occupational therapist before I became an anthropologist. And for me, working in mental health it's very much about these very, very fundamental questions of what it means to be a human being, what it means to be in relationship with other people. And culture is part of that. And what we call culture, as you know, good anthropologists will tell you, is debatable, and it embraces many different things. And so I think for me to look at these essential questions around inequalities and how they impact on our mental well-being and on our relationships and our ability to be in the world and to look after ourselves, look after our families, that to me is really fascinating and raises endless questions that are related to anthropology, but also to history and political science and these other disciplines.